You've felt it before, haven't you? That quiet sense that something in your life keeps repeating itself, almost like a scene playing over and over with different actors, but the same outcome. It shows up in relationships, in opportunities, in moments where you think things will finally be different, and yet somehow they circle back to the same emotional place. At first, you may have dismissed it as coincidence. You told yourself it was just bad timing, bad luck, or simply the way life unfolds. But deep inside, there has always been a subtle awareness, a whisper that refuses to be ignored, telling you that this repetition is not random. You are not imagining it. There is a pattern, and it has been following you with intention. This pattern, what we are calling J, is not just a person or a single event. It is a spiritual loop, a carefully designed cycle that continues to return, because something within you is still being shaped. Each time it appears, it carries a familiar energy. It triggers emotions you thought you had already dealt with. It tests parts of you that feel tired, parts that wonder why growth seems so difficult. And yet, even in your frustration, there is something deeper happening, something purposeful. You are not stuck. You are being refined. The truth is, most people run from repetition. They try to escape it, distract themselves from it, or blame others for it. But chosen ones are different. You feel it more intensely because your life is not meant to be ordinary. Your path is intentional, guided, and shaped by something far greater than what you can see on the surface. What feels like a trap is actually a process. What feels like being held back is actually being prepared. Every time J shows up, it brings a mirror with it. It reflects your fears, your habits, your unhealed wounds, and your untapped strength. It reveals how you respond under pressure, how you handle disappointment, and whether you truly believe in your own worth. These are not easy confrontations. They are uncomfortable, sometimes even painful. But they are necessary, because you are being trained for something greater than comfort. Think about it. If everything in your life came easily, if every situation resolved itself without struggle, would you ever discover how strong you truly are? Would you learn how to stand firm when everything around you shakes? Would you develop the wisdom to recognize what is meant for you and what is not? Growth does not come from ease. It comes from challenge, from repetition, from moments that push you to your limits and then ask you to go even further. That is what this pattern is doing. It is not there to break you. It is there to build you. Each cycle is like a layer of pressure, shaping your spirit the way fire shapes steel. At first, it feels overwhelming. You may question why it keeps happening, why you cannot seem to move past it. But what you don't see yet is that every repetition is adding strength to your foundation. It is teaching you lessons that cannot be learned any other way. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to change. Your awareness deepens. Your reactions shift. The things that once controlled you start to lose their grip. You begin to see the pattern more clearly, not as something happening to you, but as something working for you. That is the moment everything starts to transform, because the cycle only has power as long as it remains unseen. The moment you recognize it, the moment you understand that it has a purpose, you step into a different level of consciousness. You stop being a victim of repetition and start becoming a student of it. And that is where your power begins to rise. You are not here by accident. You are not facing these cycles without reason. You are being prepared, shaped, and strengthened in ways that will one day make perfect sense. You are a chosen one. And nothing in your life is unbreakable. You've asked yourself this question more times than you can count, even if you never said it out loud. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep finding myself in the same situations, feeling the same emotions, facing the same kind of endings no matter how much I try to move forward? It can feel exhausting, like you're walking in circles, putting in effort but never truly escaping the pattern. And at some point, it begins to weigh on your spirit, making you wonder if something is wrong, or if you're somehow meant to stay stuck. But the truth is far deeper than that. You are not being held back. You are being held in place for a reason. The cycle continues not because you are failing, but because something within you is still being developed. What you are experiencing is not just about the external situation. It's not just about the people who come and go or the circumstances that repeat themselves in different forms. The real focus is internal. Every time the pattern returns, it is activating something inside you that has not yet been fully understood, healed, or strengthened. J is not chasing you. It is revealing you. It reveals the boundaries you hesitate to set, the moments where you choose silence instead of truth, the times you settle for less because it feels familiar. It exposes the beliefs you carry about yourself, beliefs that may be limiting you without you even realizing it. It shows you where you doubt your worth, where you question your strength, and where you allow fear to make your decisions. This is why the cycle doesn't simply disappear. If it ended too soon, you would walk away thinking the lesson was about the other person or the situation itself. You would miss the deeper transformation that is trying to take place within you. So instead, the cycle returns, not to punish you, but to give you another opportunity to see more clearly, to respond differently, to grow more fully into who you are meant to be. There is a divine patience in this process. God does not rush your growth. He allows the cycle to continue until the lesson becomes undeniable, until the awareness becomes so clear that you can no longer ignore it. Each repetition sharpens your understanding. Each moment of frustration pushes you closer to clarity. Even when you feel tired of it, even when you wish it would all just stop, something inside you is slowly awakening. You begin to notice patterns you didn't see before. You start to recognize the early signs of the cycle before it fully unfolds. Situations that once confused you begin to make sense, and in that awareness, a quiet shift starts to happen. You realize that you have a choice. Before, your reactions may have been automatic. You responded from old habits, old wounds, old fears. But now there is a pause, a moment where you can see what's happening and decide how you want to respond. That moment is powerful. That moment is where transformation begins. Because the cycle feeds on repetition of the same response. The moment you choose differently, even in a small way, you begin to weaken its hold over you. When you set a boundary where you once stayed silent, when you walk away where you once held on, when you trust yourself where you once doubted, that is when the pattern starts to lose its grip. But until that shift happens fully, the cycle will continue to return. Not as a curse, but as a teacher. It is guiding you toward a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true purpose. It is pushing you to step into your power, even when it feels uncomfortable. It is showing you that growth is not always gentle, but it is always meaningful. You are not going in circles. You are spiraling upward, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Every repetition is bringing you closer to a breakthrough, closer to clarity, closer to becoming the person you were always meant to be. And one day, you will look back and realize that what felt like being stuck was actually the process that set you free. Every time you go through one of these cycles, something within you is quietly changing, even if you don't notice it right away. Growth like this is not always loud or obvious. It does not always arrive with a clear sign that says you've leveled up. Instead, it happens beneath the surface, in the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you begin to carry yourself through situations that once overwhelmed you. At first, you may only notice the pain, the frustration, the exhaustion of facing something that feels so familiar. But what you don't immediately see is that each experience is leaving something valuable behind. It is building you, piece by piece, into someone far stronger than you were before. This is your spiritual armor forming. It is not something you can buy, borrow, or instantly receive. It has to be developed through experience, through moments where you are tested beyond your comfort zone, through situations that force you to stand firm when everything inside you wants to run or give up. This kind of strength is earned, not given. With every cycle, you begin to develop discernment. You start to see people and situations for what they truly are, rather than what you hoped they would be. You become less easily misled, less willing to ignore red flags, less likely to sacrifice your peace for temporary comfort. That awareness is a form of protection. It is one of the first layers of your armor. Then comes resilience. The things that once broke you no longer have the same power. You still feel, you still care, but you recover faster. You don't stay down as long as you used to. You begin to understand that setbacks are not the end of your story, just a part of your development. That understanding strengthens your spirit in a way nothing else can. And then there is faith. Not the kind of faith that only exists when everything is going well, but the kind that holds steady even in uncertainty. The kind that allows you to keep moving forward, even when you don't fully understand what is happening or why. This faith becomes a shield, protecting your mind from doubt and your heart from losing hope. All of this is being built within you, layer by layer. You may not realize it, but you are becoming someone who cannot be easily shaken. Someone who sees more clearly, stands more firmly, and trusts more deeply. This is not random growth. This is intentional. This is divine construction happening in real time. The cycles you face are not meaningless struggles. They are training grounds. Each time you are placed in a familiar situation, it is an opportunity to strengthen what has already been built and to develop what is still missing. It is a chance to apply what you've learned, to act with greater awareness, and to step more fully into your power. Even the moments that feel like setbacks are part of the process. Even when you respond in ways you wish you hadn't, you are still learning. You are still becoming more aware. And that awareness is what leads to lasting change. J is not there to destroy you. It is there to refine you. It brings pressure, yes, but pressure is what transforms raw material into something unbreakable. Without that pressure, without that repetition, you would never discover the depth of your own strength. You would never realize how much you are capable of enduring and overcoming. And as this armor continues to form, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop fearing the cycle. You start understanding it. You begin to see it not as something to avoid, but as something that is shaping you into the person you are meant to become. You recognize that every challenge carries a lesson, and every lesson adds to your strength. You are not the same person you were when the cycle first began. You are stronger now, wiser now, more aware now, and with every step forward, your armor becomes more complete, preparing you for a life that requires exactly the strength you are building right now. There comes a moment in your journey where everything begins to shift, not because the world around you suddenly changes, but because something within you finally does. It is a quiet realization at first, almost subtle, but powerful enough to alter the direction of your entire life. You begin to see the cycle for what it truly is. Not a punishment, not bad luck, not something designed to hold you back, but a test that has been waiting for you to rise above it. For so long, it may have felt like the cycle had control over you, like no matter what you did, you would end up back in the same emotional space, facing the same kind of struggle. But that feeling starts to fade the moment you understand one truth. The cycle only continues when you remain the same within it. It is not the situation that needs to change first. It is you. This is where your power awakens. When you begin to recognize the pattern as it unfolds, you create space between the experience and your reaction. Instead of being pulled in automatically, you pause. You observe. You become aware of what is happening, not just around you, but inside you. That awareness gives you something you didn't fully have before: choice. And choice is what breaks cycles. You start to notice the moments where you would have once said yes when you meant no. The moments where you would have stayed silent instead of speaking your truth. The moments where you would have held on to something that was clearly not aligned with your growth. But now, those moments feel different. There is a tension, a quiet knowing that you don't have to repeat the same response. So you choose differently. Maybe it's not perfect at first. Maybe your voice shakes when you set a boundary. Maybe you hesitate before walking away from something familiar. But even in that imperfection, something powerful is happening. You are interrupting the pattern. You are refusing to play the same role in a cycle that once defined you. And that is how transformation begins. The cycle does not need to disappear for you to be free from it. It loses its power the moment it can no longer control your response. When you stop feeding it with the same emotions, the same decisions, the same energy, it begins to fade. What once felt like a trap starts to feel like a test you have already passed. This is not about becoming cold or disconnected. It is about becoming aligned. It is about knowing your worth so deeply that you no longer accept anything that contradicts it. It is about trusting yourself enough to walk away from what no longer serves your growth, even if it feels uncomfortable in the moment. There is strength in that kind of decision. There is freedom in that kind of awareness. You begin to carry yourself differently. Situations that once pulled you in no longer have the same hold. You see things earlier, clearer, and with greater understanding. What used to confuse you now feels obvious. What used to hurt you deeply now teaches you quickly. And one day, without even realizing when it happened, you look around and notice something incredible. The cycle is gone. Not because it stopped existing, but because you outgrew it. You are no longer the person it was designed to shape. You have become stronger than the lesson it was trying to teach, and because of that, it no longer needs to return. This is the moment you step fully into your power. You understand now that everything you went through had a purpose. Every repetition, every challenge, every moment of doubt was part of a process that was shaping you into who you are today. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was meaningless. You were being prepared all along. And now you stand in a different place. Not just stronger, but clearer. Not just wiser, but more grounded in who you truly are. You no longer fear cycles because you understand them. You no longer feel trapped because you know how to rise. You are not here to repeat the past. You are here to transcend it. So you move forward with confidence, with faith, and with a deep sense of purpose. You trust that whatever comes next, you have the strength to face it. You trust that you are guided, protected, and prepared for the path ahead, because you are no longer becoming the chosen one. You have realized that you already are.